Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, my ridiculous homeowner association sued me and called the cops on my kids for having a bouncy castle in our backyard. They threaten that they will get all of us sent to jail. This HOA is completely out of control and I don't know what to do. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. And the title story starts like this. You all read the title of the story, so I just want to get right into what happened between me and my crazy HOA board. I have the more unusual backyard children's entertainment as a bouncy castle. This is not a random thing though, and designed specifically to help my kids while keeping them safe. Both of my kids were born with a genetic disability that causes problems in their mobility. One thing that can help them build muscles in their legs without straining them are things like trampolines. The only problem with that is that they have a higher likelihood of getting hurt and falling off because of their balance problems. So our solution was to buy a bouncy castle and let them play in that so they can have fun, get their exercise and physical therapy, and be safe in a fully enclosed environment. Another thing is that you might be thinking of those giant ones that kids get for birthday parties. This one is smaller though, and is also fully hidden in our backyard with nobody being able to see it unless they were looking specifically. We had it for a while until the HOA board got wind of it and came to investigate for themselves. I was told that it went against the approved list of items allowed in a yard and to get rid of it or I was gonna be in trouble. I went and looked at the rules and it clearly stated what items were approved, but there was a clause. If any item that was not on the approved list could not be seen from a street view, then the rule didn't apply to it. I went out and even took pictures from every angle on the street to find out that I could not see it. So I submitted them a letter with my photos showing it was allowed and went on with my life. About a week later, one of the board members showed up at my house and actually went into my backyard. I went into the house to use the bathroom for a couple of minutes and I don't know if it was bad timing or she was waiting for me to walk away. Either way, she went right up to the bouncy castle and started screaming at my kids. HOA guy, you two get out of there right now. This is against policy and you will get out and take this toy down immediately. My kids did not respond to her partly due to their disability and partly because they know not to talk to strangers. At the first yell though, I rushed out of the bathroom and outside in the blink of an eye. Me, get away from my kids! HOA guy, this abomination needs to be taken down right this second. You are in violation of HOA policy and I can have the police here within 5 minutes to arrest you for breaking the law. Me, I sent the appeal to the HOA board proving that this is not in violation. What you are doing is trespassing and I'm asking you to leave now. She pulled out her phone and actually called the police saying that 2 kids were disturbing the peace and their mother was breaking the law and destroying the neighborhood. I really wish that I was joking, but I had no choice to wait until the police came. I left my kids in the bouncy castle though, because I don't think the HOA lady knew how to open it and I was worried trying to transport them out of it and into the house with her there. The police came about 10 minutes later and asked who called them. HOA, that would be me. These kids won't stop and you have to arrest them and their mother. Police, they are on your property? Me, this is actually my property. Police, so what is the problem here exactly? HOA, this horrible looking thing is against the HOA laws and she is breaking it by having it here. I used my authority to tell the kids to get out and take it apart, but they ignored me. Then their mother came at me yelling and not caring that she was destroying the neighborhood by keeping this up. Police, this is not a criminal situation. You don't have the authority to come on her property and tell her what to do. I'm sure the HOA has procedures for things like this, but calling us to come out here is not one of them. For now, this woman is telling you to leave her property and you have to do so, or it is trespassing. The HOA woman then left without a fight and I thank the officers for their time. Afterwards, I did get my kids in the house just in case she tried to come back and do anything crazy. I got a letter a couple days later that I was being sued by the HOA. In addition, I started getting fines in the mail accompanied by letters that if I did not pay, they were going to have me arrested and sent to jail. I was not gonna pay them anything since I was in the right. The threats then continued for weeks and I was honestly scared for the safety of my family. That woman seemed crazy, and I didn't know how many other people in the HOA were just as insane as she was. So then we got to court, and the HOA had their lawyer going into a ton of detail about their bylaws and the penalties that can ensue because of them. I swear it took half an hour before they even talked about which rule I was supposedly breaking with my bouncy castle. Going through the approved items and showing that it wasn't there, along with the first letter stating so to me, but of course not my reply with the photos I took. Then they started saying how I refused to pay any of the fines, and it showed that fines exceeding $2,500 in a single year without being paid could result in the HOA requesting jail time. I am sure you can guess that they fined me enough to hit that mark. They also wanted me to pay for their lawyer's fee, who was charging them about $100 an hour, which I personally find crazy. Of course, also listing way more hours than he probably worked to milk me for every penny possible. Then my lawyer got his turn and explained the clause that the HOA did not bother to discuss during their turn. Then showing pictures from every angle that show nobody can see the bouncy castle from the street. He wanted the entire case thrown out, as well as all of the fines that I was being sent in the mail. Finally, I was asking the HOA to pay my legal fees since they had started this lawsuit against me, knowing that I was in the right. The judge did not agree to that last part, so I did end up paying my own lawyer, but it was worth trying. The judge threw the entire case out and told the HOA that in accordance to their own bylaws, I had not broken any rules. I was relieved for the entire thing to be over and the HOA not able to fine or threaten me about the bouncy castle any longer. My kids of course didn't know what was going on, but I think they noticed that during the entire thing I was being more careful with them going in it and watching more closely. With the lawsuit over, I could relax again and let my kids enjoy and reap the benefits of their bouncy castle. And the next one is titled, I Told Her the Truth. I am 30, my wife is 34, and her sister Alexa is 19. We got married 2 years ago, but we have known each other for a long time. My wife's parents live abroad and they have a business there. 11 to 12 years ago they sent Alexa to the US to live with my wife and get her education. My wife is basically her only parent, she does everything for Alexa. I'll be honest, Alexa is a brat who honestly gets on my nerves. It's like she exists to make my wife's life miserable, and she is arrogant, rude, entitled and nasty. She constantly broke rules and none of her teachers ever liked her, and she refused therapy. Honestly, I'm amazed at the patience and kindness my wife has, because the girl was a nightmare. The second Alexa went to college, we got married. She came home for Thanksgiving, probably skipping classes, and came to me this weekend and confessed her feelings. Apparently, I treated her so much better than my wife when she was growing up. I tried to be nice to her just because she is my wife's sister, and I would do things like take her out once in a while to give my wife/then girlfriend a break. When my wife would try to tutor Alexa and she wouldn't even do her work and fail half her classes, I told her to let it go. I lost it and told her that I don't like her, I never liked her, and I was only nice to her because it would make my wife happy. I told her I only put up with her spoiled self to be with my wife, and I was annoyed whenever she intruded. Alexa started sobbing and then ran out. I told my wife everything and she said I was right to turn her down, but I didn't have to be so harsh. She thanked me for being honest though. Her parents are now furious. I've gotten a bunch of weird text messages from what I suspect are Alexa's friends. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Edit, I would never do anything because Alexa is literally a kid I've seen grow up. It would be disgusting and immoral. I would have shut her down either way, but I'm asking if I'm the a-hole for revealing how I really feel about that brat. And yeah, ripe stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this story. Do you think that OP is the a-hole or not? And comment number 1 on Reddit was, not the a-hole, she is an adult and needs a reality check for her past behavior. The problem is not what you did, it's that no one did it before. Her parents have no right to be upset since they passed off the job of parenting to your wife. Comment number 2, not the a-hole, but what in the world is going on here? Your wife thinks that you were too harsh in turning down her sister's attempt to ruin your marriage? Were you supposed to just pull a Gabby from Desperate Housewives and say, that's a negatory on the affair, with a smile on your face? And the next one is titled, Retail Karen Veteran. I've posted here before about a refund in my shop, and I would post any more stories that happen here. Well, the week just gone we had a Karen customer come in. You know where this is going. So I work in a charity shop and we sell all sorts of stuff really cheap. Single DVDs we sell them for 25p each or 6 for £1. For anything that is a whole series DVD, we sell for £1 as these are obviously more expensive in mainline retail shops. So then Karen comes in and brings about 5 Family Guy season DVDs to the till. I ring them up and say the price. She looks at me like, "Excuse me? It's 6 for £1." I said yes for single ones, but this is a series DVD. They are £1 each. Her face crunches up with disarray and she then says they are 3 in this case and 3 in that one. That makes 6. I said yeah, if they were single DVDs. Karen then decides to say, well, it was not like that when I was in yesterday. I'm beginning to laugh in my head because it's literally never been different since we have opened. She went on to say that one of our volunteers sold them to her separately just yesterday, and I ask who. She ends up naming one who she has seen before. I look on the till for transactions and lo and behold, the volunteer was not on the till yesterday because she was not even in the shop. I already knew this, but felt like showing her up in front of the queue who were all looking at her like, really? I say this to her and she gets in a huff saying I can speak to the manager, and I then say back in Palpatine style, I'm the manager. Karen just assumed just because I was young, I was not a manager. She then snorts and goes, I'm not having them then, and walks off. I'll be honest, I got great joy putting her in her place. And the next one is titled, I Let the Big Secret Out. I had a very awkward moment on the phone with my parents yesterday. I really like family history, not 24andMe, but like tracing the family tree, so I've been doing some research. My dad asked about it, and when he mentioned some previous research his first cousin Karen had done. Me, well yeah, but that might not be our side of the family, right? She is technically only your half-cousin, right? My dad, what do you mean? No, she's not. Karen is my Aunt Betsy's daughter, so she's my cousin. Me, well, Grandma and Aunt Betsy are half-sisters, right? So you're only like 25% related. To back up for a second, my grandma is in her 80s and doesn't have dementia or anything. She definitely did not just get confused and say something inaccurate, but it's very possible she forgot that she hadn't told her own son and therefore should tell him before she told his daughter. So when my grandma told me, it was in a casual context with my parents present, but evidently not listening to our conversation. She said she had known and suspected since she was young that her younger sister Betsy was a product of an affair. She did not really frame it as a huge secret, more just a family tidbit that she and Betsy had long since set aside. My dad, wait, what do you mean 25%? Me, well, Grandma and Betsy don't have the same father, so technically, my mom, what? Great-grandma name had an affair? I stumblingly apologized and my dad sort of acted like this was something he knew about his mom/grandma, but I could tell from his recovery that he didn't know and was a little rattled by both the revelation and the fact that it had come from his daughter of all people. It doesn't seem immediately affecting his personal self-image. His parents and grandparents are still the same people, we don't really see that cousin and her family anymore, and obviously all of the adults involved are long dead. But still. Comment number 1, you have done nothing wrong. Your grandma told you within earshot of your parents and never said it was a secret. However, you might want to check in with your dad. Something like, when we talked about Aunt Betsy, I had no idea you didn't know. I'm sorry if it came as a surprise. Grandma mentioned it to me when we visited, so she could probably tell you all about it. I love you and I hope you're okay. Not acknowledging what happened may be more uncomfortable for you and your dad and also gives far too much importance to this decades-old secret. Comment number 2, I would not listen to the mouth-shut people. The thing is out now already anyway. Go up to your dad and tell him this situation is bothering you. Just openly say that your grandma told you when they were there too, so you presumed he knew. And also that you are sorry if you upset him, you didn't mean to and love him, that's all you need to do. If he wants to bring it up to your grandma, then he is an adult and he could do that perfectly fine himself. Don't fret it too much, you didn't know. The next one is titled, Getting Back at Crappy Neighbors. About a year ago, my family and I moved into a new house. The side of our backyard is butted up to the back of 2 other yards. At one home there is a sweet young family and their dog. At the other there are 6 children under the age of 10 who seem to lack any resemblance of decency. I have 2 dogs, mastiffs. They are sweethearts, but their size can make them intimidating, so we have a tall privacy fence. A fence not designed to be climbed over. Well, this does nothing to stop a-hole neighbor kids who hit things into our yard, climb the fence and exit through the gate, leaving it wide open for our dogs to run away instead of coming to the door and politely asking for help. I had to install padlocks on the gates so they could not attempt the stunt anymore. Beyond that, in their own yard they constantly come to the fence and bang on it and make noises to annoy my dogs, even spraying the hose through it to my surprise when I let in 2 soaking wet pups. So I did what any rational person would do. I decided the best time to wash my fence would be when they were outside right next to it. They broke a hole in it, hitting things at it, so I aimed right through and nailed each child with a stream of freezing cold hose water. Simple, but I sure felt good about it. The next one is titled, "My neighbor takes up a lot of space in our shared driveway, so do I." So the house I own shares a split garage and a driveway with the house next to me. My house is brown, theirs is white, and while I was looking for a house, the white house went up for sale before the brown house. I looked at both, so when I first got to the brown house, I knew the setup. The garage has 2 single car doors and a dividing wall that goes down the middle of it. Neither of us park in the garage as the cement is uneven. Our driveway is in a bit of a Y shape where only 1 car can get out or in at a time, but if you are up by the driveway you can fit 2 cars comfortably side by side. The problem is that my neighbors park far enough down the driveway that it makes backing in a huge pain. They have done this since the start. They moved into the white house a few months before I moved into the brown one. I guess they got a little too comfortable having the whole driveway to themselves, because even a year later they still cannot figure out how to properly park. They have hit their fence post at least 3 times backing in, all while I was not there. Because they make it a hassle for me to get into my half of our driveway, I have began parking next to them. Does not seem like a problem, right? Wrong. It makes it a huge pain for them to get out of the driveway. I have the option of driving into my yard as it is flat, but damn it, I wanna keep my yard nice. They, however, have raised stones lining their side. The further down they park, the further I park. The further I park, the closer they get to scraping against those stones. Why don't we both drive into the driveway instead of backing in, you may ask? Because the neighbor across the street sometimes parks across from our driveway and it makes it very difficult to get out even with a backup camera. Neither of us have said a word about this to the other, but I know that they know what I'm doing. Every time I park next to them, they back all the way into their side for a few days and then it is back to the same crap. I'm just so sick of this song and dance. As long as they refuse to park in a way that is not fair to me, I will continue to be petty. Hell, maybe I will even start parking further down than they do, just to really get the point across. And the next one is titled, "Be an a-hole of a neighbor, I will ruin your day." So this was a while back, but I thought it was worthwhile to share. So about 8 months ago, we had a new neighbor move into an apartment across the way from us. Let's call her B for BITCH. We have a sidewalk right in front of our main door, which we have been parked in front of for over 4 years without a single problem. For some reason, B was not happy that we parked there. Mind you that up to 3 cars can park there happily. What she began doing was that she'd park directly in the middle so that no one could park in the front. Front of the car would be in the street or the back, too close to a fire lane. We put up with it for a while until June when I broke my leg. I was in a cast and crutches, so it was a pain to get in my house. B would park right in the middle like usual, making us park 150 feet away from my house rather than 3. B then also had the nerve to tow our car when we parked too close to the fire lane. This was the last straw. It was perfect timing as I was going to have a few buddies pick me up and take me out for the 4th of July. I told them what was up and we devised a plan. They all had big trucks, so we waited for B to get home on July 3rd. I had a buddy park one of the trucks behind her, one on the left side of her and one in front of her, so there would be no way she could make it out. I ordered an Uber for us and we had one hell of a 4th of July. I came home to be furious, stating that her child was crying all day and that I ruined her 4th of July. best day ever. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, I want to ask you for a favor. If you have watched until here, please check out my new channel called The Readers, where I and other voice actors post daily stories that you will very much enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.